3 questions for Gareth. And did you want to talk about any programs or anything?
Yeah, for sure.
Questions first?
Let's do the questions first.
Can you take our phones off flight mode now?
You want to just get into it?
Just texting, yeah. What did I tell you at the very beginning? Hey, we're going to make an opera. It's 3 words.
Have you used Facebook chat as well?
Yes.
That works. I've done it before. Similar.
The problem with Facebook chat is that it's really unsteady,
I know, I will,
and if
yeah.
your internet fucking blows, it blows.
I get MSN really quickly, then go to MSN.
Yeah, MSN or AIM or anything like that. Any kind of stuff like that is all the same. It's all verbal game. You can do it over emails. And in my iGame program, we talk about doing it over emails because I very sincerely believe that emailing is like the love letter of the 21st century. The best part of Facebook or MSN or AIM or something is just to get the number as quickly as possible. And that way, because the voice is a lot more powerful, you can convey a lot more emotion, is to go through that too, or texting. But either way, as long as it's reliable and it works, definitely, for sure. Anybody else? That's it. That's so thorough. Boom.
Yeah, just talking about Facebook, a lot of phones now make internet where you can see Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Would you say that a lot of these principles are easily applicable, like if you're updating on someone's wall or something like that?
What we talk about is the question of intimacy. Things like posting on someone's wall, there's only so much space you can get to escalate, until her friends start going, whoa, And like we say, with sexual escalation, should do it in isolation so that she's not putting up a guard just so she doesn't look like a slut in front of her friends. What I'll do on wall posts is once you kind of get the gist of sensual undertones, we call it erotic undertones. There's a great book called The Fine Art of Erotic Talk by Bonnie Gabriel. You can probably get it on Amazon. I bought it at Barnes & Noble. It's like $13. It talks about the concept of erotic undertones. And erotic undertones are like expressing that sexuality while you're talking in certain things. Like, oh, you had a test today? Oh, that's cool. It was difficult? Yeah. Do you like it hard? And if she goes, yeah, you go, well, I find that, for me, hard tests are a lot better because they challenge my mental capacity a lot more. And she goes, oh, I'm embarrassed. But she's still thinking about that stuff, you know what I mean? You incorporate erotic undertones in kind of things like wall posts and stuff. And if she keeps complying and she keeps going, I will go straight to sending a message. And I'll send a message that's something like, wow, we shouldn't be posting like this on your wall. And depending on her response, we can tell how much she was escalating because she's into you, how much she was escalating to kind of like play the game that everyone can see. Oh, I'm flirting with Garrett, that's fun, ha ha ha. And we get her alone and she's like, whatever. Then from there, on a few messages, if you can tell she's interested, I just go straight for the phone. So I can either text or call. Because if you're exchanging Facebook messages, even if you got it on your phone, it's still like 2 or 3 steps out of the way. And in most cases, like text is the easiest. It's like boink, text. In most cases, or I should say always, the more steps a woman has to go through, the more detached it's going to be. It's not going to be a lot. If you have to click Facebook and messages instead of just clicking text, your message folder or whatever, it is still an extra step she has to go, to have that romantic relationship. And we want to make it easy. That make sense?
Yeah. What do you do about flakes? So you've sent a message or so, and then it's just dead. And so how do you re-engage again?
The best way to re-engage a flake is to use social obligation, is to use something like that. It doesn't have to be those 3 ones I gave you. It can be anything. The problem with phone and text interactions is that it does depend on your first interaction. If she's not that interested in you, if she gave you kind of like meh game, she has to be at least willing to respond, because a big thing about phone and text interactions is compliance. Because every text you send her, and every text she responds to, every text she responds to is a system of compliance. It builds that conversation. The more you get into that conversation, the less likely she is to just drop off the face of the planet, right? She does have to be willing to respond to that too, though. So I get sexual very quickly because not a lot of women will get, or not a lot of guys will get real sexual with women in a correct way, we should say, because you always get some weird people that think that I should just like send her a picture of my wang. Like, no. when you get that sexual that quickly, you are doing something that not a lot of people do, and women will find that, or you'll find that when women will escalate sexually with you in a safe and comfortable environment, they become more invested in you. I don't do this with a lot of guys. If I just do this and then duck out, I'm gonna kind of feel like that's a weird thing to do because I'm just doing it with some guy. It becomes that relationship, that investment. The thing about flakes, what I will do is if I try to engage and it's not working, if text is just being really sparse and back and forth, I will call. Because the voice is infinitely more powerful than text. And if you get sent a voicemail, I will leave a message that baits. Hey, I just thought of this incredible thing. I totally have to tell you. Give me a call back. You can express a lot more with your voice. And to get her on the phone, if you've got, it all kind of, the prerequisite of good text game is that you have good game in general. You've got to go out and practice this stuff. An hour in the club is going to be worth texting 100 numbers for sure. Microcalibration and so on and so forth. If you can get her on that phone, it's the same thing. No one's going to just stop talking to you when you're on the phone with her. So you can build that rapport and continue that connection through that. And you can do the same stuff over the phone too, for sure.
I just realised as you were giving that presentation that that's exactly what I've done with the girl I met online.
Yeah.
Like there was 20 emails back each between us, and then we went to the phone and there was 400 text messages back and forth. I've got it as a PDF. 74 pages long.
$9.95, ladies and gentlemen.
Or free text. And the thing is that I realised as you were saying that is that at one point I actually described the opening scene from a porn movie. And she fucking loved it, and she came back with her own scenario, and then we ended up actually making a story where I would do 1,000 words and then she would do 1,000 words. And I think that went 5 times each way.
Yeah.
And then, I ended up just...
So would you say that
I've never taken her out on a date, and I've seen her every Sunday for the last year and a bit.
Boom. So would you say that while I was talking, you had an epiphany?
Yeah. Inadvertently, I didn't even realize that's what I was doing.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what was happening to me is that I was just doing it because I fucking like doing it, and I just would run into roadblocks and find a way around. And then JT was like, "Hey, figure this shit out so we can teach it." I was like, "Okay." And I went back through it, and I realized that those were similar patterns, the creating those fantasies, using that language as well. Like a lot of times, if you guys talk dirty to girls, it's very interesting because it starts out like we're kind of afraid. So we say things like, "Oh, we'll go out on a first date. It'll be nice." Words like date and fun and adventure. And then as she starts getting into it, it's called the erotic feedback loop. She starts getting into it. Then we start maybe using some more words, like, "Oh, it'll be nice to drag my fingers up your back," or maybe I'd like to kiss you and, feel very passionately. And then she kind of gets into it more, and then as you realize she's into it, you kind of get a little bit more, like a little bit more sexual, and like she's into it, so you continue even more, and that is the awesome escalation from romantic to sensual to sexual that comes naturally for us that women need. Make sense?
Now, when I said I described the opening scene of a porn movie, it wasn't I was using that he took his fucking cock out.
Yeah.
Actually
The pizza guy knocked on the door and
describing what was going on, but not the actual act of sex.
I have this terrible image of you sitting on your couch, like texting while watching porn. Like, awesome! Not what I want to think about right now.
Question.
Last one. Who's got one? I'm going back to LA, so this is all you get. That's it.
Do you ever send pictures?
Here's the thing about pictures. Getting pictures of women is awesome. And first thing I'll always say, because
not pictures of them, no. You send like a random picture. It's like.
Oh, okay. Or we're not talking about sexy pictures. In maintaining regular presence, what you can do is when you say something funny, crazy, interesting, that can be a picture as well too. I always try to include a message because a picture, me skiing, I'll be like, "Whoa, thinking about you." I like with pictures, I laugh about with pictures, is I always try to do like some DHV like picture that is silly, I'll take a picture of like a Lamborghini, they have ridiculous cars in LA. They'll be like bright red fucking Lamborghini, and then there'll be like a poster on a lamppost behind it, and I'll take picture and I'll be like, whoa, I'll send it. I'll be like, whoa, look at that poster on the lamppost behind my new car. Something silly like that. It's a great way to maintain a regular presence, but it doesn't really do much other than that.
I kind of used a picture as social proof on Saturday. There was this girl, she ended up flaking me on me, so I took a picture of two of my really, really hot female friends, sent her, and said, look at all the fun you could be having. I ended up going out on Sunday.
Yeah, you can do that. I always try to, whenever a girl turns me down for plans, I always try to not I don't want to say rub it in her face, but let her know that you weren't just kind of making it up, that you were having a lot of fun. You can do this via language, or you can use pictures too. For me, sending a picture of like a bunch of hot girls to another girl is kind of contrived, but if it works, it works. You know what I mean? A lot of times, you run into situations where it's like, hey, what are you doing on Wednesday? Maybe you've not made that good of an interaction, and she's like, oh, I'm kind of busy. Why, what's up? And you'd be like, well, I'm taking my helicopter down to Hawaii because the mansion, I got to clean it up and make sure like the lights are off and stuff like that. Oh, that sounds fun. I'm not really doing anything, change it around and stuff like that. Here's the thing. I do boot camps pretty well all over the world all weekend. I have a boot camp next week. It's sold out, I'm afraid. I was kind of planning to have it, but it sold out really quickly. We come here every 3 or so months, I think 6 months. I'm back in November. What we do is we do 3 days and 3 nights. It's 4 or 5 hours of classroom instruction, and then 4 hours out in the field. We'll do it in Sydney. I don't know if we'll do one in Melbourne. We might, which I would really like to, because over the past year, we've become quite close and had a great relationship, and being with you guys is super cool too. I've got a program that drops, all the iGame, the phone tech stuff drops on June 14th. Series of online videos. There's a workbook. There's an ebook that I meant to print out, but we were drinking beer. And texting girls. But I've got my blog, thegarethjones.com. I also have our website, ABCs of Attraction. There's tons of videos. There's tons of field reports. Our forums go crazy. I'm a part of your forum now, which I'm stoked about, which I'll try to check up on fairly regularly. I travel so much, it's really hard. But I have cards with my email and my American cell phone on them. If you have questions, if you want to say hey, I will feel free to email me. It's totally my pleasure. All I ask is that you kind of keep them smaller. If you've got one question, the kind of question you'd ask right now, you know what I mean? And what I appreciate them, and I know it's good, but I can't do big long transcriptions. This is how the conversation went, and then it's scroll. It's just simply because of time and about all the things I have to do when I do get to a computer. But I'll have tons of cards and stuff. Thank you guys so much for having me here. The pleasure was totally mine. Thank you.